All right, children. I think we'll start with the class. And in the last 2 or 3 classes, we have been studying about the filling up of electrons in the atomic orbitals and the electronic configuration. And what we have done so far is mostly the theory part, but we have not solved any questions. Today we will do a few questions which will help you to understand the filling up of the electrons in the various atomic orbitals that you have studied. Okay. And for that, we will do one thing is that we will randomly pick up certain atomic numbers and then we'll try to see what the electronic configurations are like. Okay. So I think I'll have to go to the whiteboard. So let me switch over to the whiteboard. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So the rules that we had studied were Aufbau's principle, Horn's rule of maximum multiplicity, and related to quantum numbers, we study the Pauli's exclusion principle, where we say that no two electrons in one atom, in a particular atom, will have all the 4 quantum numbers identical. Even if 3 numbers are same, the 4th one will have to be different. It can be any one of them. Usually if N, L and M are same, S will differ by, if the first one is plus half, the other one has to be a minus half. Okay, so today we will basically do some examples whereby which, I hope I'll be able to clear your doubts regarding writing of the electronic configurations and writing the quantum numbers for those electrons. Okay, so let us do one thing. If I start with, let us say, potassium, all right. I don't know if I did that earlier, but if we begin with potassium, then potassium atomic number is 19. Okay. Now, if you go by the electronic configuration like you studied in the Aufbau's principle, so you know that you are going to start with, if you follow the Aufbau's principle, it is going to be 1s2, okay, then it's going to be 2s2, then it's going to be 2p6, all right, then it's going to be 3s2, then it's going to be 3p6. Remember, till here it makes 18 and 4s2 makes it 20. But here, since it is only 1 electron, so it will be 4s1. Okay, so this is the electronic configuration with atomic number 19, and the valence electron of potassium is in 4s1. So what will be its set of quantum numbers? Now we never give for locating an electron in an atom, you have to give all the 4 quantum numbers. You cannot use any 2 and talk about the exact location of the electron. Just like if you are studying in a school and if somebody at the gate says that, okay, I am looking for, let us say anybody, let us say I am looking for Pranjal, who is in this school. Now it is very difficult to know where Pranjal is, right? So then you say, okay, he is in standard 11. So now your area of where you have to look for him is now only the standard 11 zone. So now again that is not proper. So Pranjal is in which section of standard 11? So you say 11B. So when it comes to 11B, then what happens? Okay, if this is 11B, so the subshell has been located. Now we need to know if there are more than 1 Pranjals in the class, then we will need to know exactly which Pranjal we are talking about. So we say that, okay, his roll number is this. So you have to give the complete data to locate a person in the school or a student in the school. Similarly, in the case of quantum numbers or in the case of electrons, you have to give all the 4 quantum numbers. Followed. And when you give all the 4 quantum numbers, only then it is going to take the exactly give the location of the electron. All right. So now let us say, suppose we are talking about this electron, which is in the 4th shell, so 4s1. So how will I write for this? N will equal to 4. Why will it equal to 4? Because the electron that I'm talking about is entering the 4th shell. So N will equal to 4. Value of L will equal to 0 because for S, it always has to be 0. Hold on. Then for M, you don't have to think a second time. If L is equal to 0, M necessarily will equal to 0. So this will equal to 0. Okay. And if I talk about S, then it is the first electron that is entering that S orbital. Now, by convention, the first electron that is entering is given a value of plus half. Now, why is this value given as plus half? Because for spin quantum numbers, the value that are obtained by mathematical calculations of higher level, it comes down to only two numbers, that is plus half and minus half. All right. So if you look at this set of quantum numbers, it is exactly telling you where the electron is. What is the other information that you are getting from this? If you look at this, the first information that you get is n is equal to 4. That means the electron is in the fourth shell. You can actually approximately talk about the size of that atom where the last electron is. You can talk about how far that electron is from the nucleus. You can, according to the Bohr's quantitative treatment, you can actually talk about what kind of energy that electron must be possessing, what must be its velocity, because n equal to 4 is the principal quantum number, and there is such a lot of information that you can get. Okay, then when it comes to L, that is, this is done, a lot of information gathered. Now let's come to L. When L is equal to 0, necessarily the electron is in the S subshell. If it is in the S subshell, that means it is going to be spherical in shape, all right? And it is going to also, kind of give you an idea, like suppose if n is equal to 1, then of course there is no other chance. L will equal to 0 only. M will equal to 0. S will equal to plus half or minus half. In this case, when n is equal to 4, it is having 4 subshells, all right? That is S, P, D, and F. When S is equal to 0, that means the 4S subshell is going to have a spherical shape. Had the L been equal to 1 or something, it would have been able to give you the, the PX, PY, PZ orbitals. And if L was equal to 2, it would have given you about the idea of the D orbitals. All right. And similarly, if L is equal to 3, then it would give you an idea of the F orbitals. Now, M, when the value of M is discussed, we have to understand that M is the magnetic quantum number, and it actually talks about the orientation in space. All right. So if L is equal to 0, it is a spherical structure. So the orientation in space is not directed towards any one side. All right. But if M has values of +1, 0, and -1, depending on the value of L, then you can talk about Px, Py, and Pz. That means the orbitals are directed along certain axes depending upon what is the value of M, and accordingly you can talk about its orientation. And when S is equal to plus half or minus half, it just tells you whether it is the clockwise or the anti-clockwise. The first electron, by convention we take it, that is entering is in the clockwise direction, and it is given as a plus half. All right. So these are the things that we come to know. These are the information that we receive when a set of quantum numbers for an electron is given. Okay. Going the other way, if the set of quantum numbers are given, can we find out the atomic number, or can we find out the electron that we are talking of in the atom? Suppose if this was the set of quantum numbers given to you all. Okay. And it says that this is the set of quantum numbers for the valence electron, okay, for a particular atom. So when you write the quantum numbers, then if n is equal to 4, that means the outermost, the electron that it is talking about is in the fourth period. S, since it is 0, will be S here, L is equal to 0. M will have to be equal to 0, and S is equal to plus half. That means only one electron has entered. Had this been minus half, then it would be 4s2, like in the case of calcium. All right. If you take calcium, calcium has an atomic number of 20, and in that case, it becomes 4s2. Okay. Now coming next to the other important atomic numbers that you have to study. I think a part of it we did yesterday, but today again we will be taking up that in detail. All right. So let's see now. If I go to the next one, that is, let us go and talk about elements with atomic number, 21. If I'm talking about scandium with atomic number 21. All right. Now, in this case, you see the difference where children are, they make mistakes, all right, and they're likely to get confused is, it is asking about the valence electron in the scandium, and it is asking you to give its quantum numbers. Again, till you gain an expertise in writing the electronic configuration, it is better that you use the Aufbau's principle and the Aufbau's table to decide as to which orbital will come first and then write the electronic configuration. So if I am talking about scandium 21, then its electronic configuration will go like 1s2, then 2s2, okay, then it will be 2p6. Sometimes, what they write is the complete electronic configuration for a certain inert gas is given, all right. Like in this case, if I'm talking about, this is the electronic configuration for neon. So they can write neon, and within the square bracket they'll write, and then write the rest of the electronic configuration. So in this case, it is going to be 3s2, okay, 3p6, all right. Okay, just 1 second. Let me erase this here. Okay, all right. 3p6, so it is 21. So it is now 19. Then it is going to be 4s2. So this makes it 20. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10, 20. And then it is going to be the next one, that is 3d1. 3d1. So what is the set of quantum numbers for the valence electron with atomic number 21? All right. So you see, in this case, children are likely write, sometimes make mistake, and they will write n is equal to 4. No. In this case, we are not talking of being filled up. We are talking about the position of an electron. So what will be its position? Its position is in the, okay, L will equal to, since it is D, L will have a value of 0 for D. So L will have a value of 2. Clear? Then what will be the value of M? The value of M depends on the value of L. The permissible values, that is the word they use. The permissible value for the magnetic quantum number will depend upon the value of L. All right. So in this case, the value of L is 2. So the permissible values for M are, actually it is given as plus L to 0 to minus L. All right. So this is the way the values are given. So if L is 2, then this is plus 2, plus 1, then 0, then minus 1 and minus 2. You see this? Okay. So in this way, here also we will write, we have to talk about 3d1. So this one is for the first orbital. So we will write plus 2. All right. So this is going to be plus 2. And then, of course, since it is the first electron which is entering the 3d1, S will have a value equal to plus half. You see this? Value will equal to plus half. Okay. Now, certain things that you must understand here in this case is that if we are writing the quantum numbers in this way, it is always good to counter check and see whether from the quantum numbers am I arriving at this position of the electron. L is equal to 3, N is equal to 3, so correct, 3. L is equal to 2, that means it is going to be 3 and it's going to be D, and since M is plus 2, that is, it is the first one that we are considering, so obviously it is going to be 3D1. And because S is plus half, it will be 1. Had it been S equal to minus half, then this would be 2. In that case, it wouldn't be 21. You will have to add another, 5, after 5 more electrons, it would have come to that. Okay, so this is some important thing to understand here. So scandium with 21 is this way. Now what about with titanium with atomic number 22? All right, if I'm talking about titanium with atomic number 22, then in this case you can see, I will write it in the short form like we write. So titanium, all right, atomic number 22. For this, the electronic configuration can be written as argon. See, argon goes up to 3s2, 3p6. So argon is, till here it is neon, then till here it is argon. Okay, so argon is 3s, till here it is there, then it is 4s2 and 3d2. So it will be 3d2. Will the electronic configuration of both this one and this one be the same? Let's check it out. So N will equal to 3. Okay. N will equal to 3. L will equal to 2 because it is in the d subshells. But M will equal to +1. You see, though the number of electron has increased, the value of M becomes +1 because the permissible values are +2, +1, 0, -1 and -2. So we are talking about this orbital. Okay, so it is +1. And then of course, S is equal to +12. What do you see in this? This is same and these two are same. The difference lies here. You see, this is +2, this is +1. So no two electrons in an atom will have the same set of quantum numbers. That you have to understand. Okay, children. Now this is about simple ones without any problem. Yes, Soumitra, you have a problem? Ask.
Miss, the magnetic quantum number can be between +2 to -2. No, it's not.
The magnetic quantum number will be from the value of L. All right. So L is equal to 2. So magnetic quantum number will be from +2, +1, 0, -1 and -2. In some books, it starts with a minus also. So that is also allowed. That is just a convention that is followed. They will start with -2, -1, 0, +1 and +2. So that is also permissible. Understand? That is why they usually give the, where the quantum numbers of those electrons which are falling somewhere here, where, M will always equal to 0 for the third electron in the D chain. Understand?
Miss.
Okay. Anything else?
Can we take M as 2 in second example?
No, we cannot take M as 2. Why? I will explain. See, good that you asked. I will explain why we cannot take M as 2 in the second example. Okay. See now. If I'm talking about M, I'm equal to L equal to 2, then I'm actually talking about the d orbitals. So the d orbitals are 5 in number. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So they are degenerate orbitals. So they have to be filled up singly first and then the pairing will start, right? So the value of when L is equal to 2, I'm talking about the d orbitals. The value of d orbitals will begin from +2, all right? As I think in your book it is given +2, +1, then 0, then -1 and then -2. It's going to add up, all right, like this. So in this case, for the electron that I'm talking about 3d2, all right, this electron is actually going to enter here. This is the position of the electron we are talking about. Okay, now see, actually, if you really look into or think about the concept here, this electron can actually go and occupy any one of these, right?
Yes.
But we will, for our study sake or for our understanding purpose, we will write it that it is adding up systematically one after the other. Okay, all right. Now that is why what I'm telling you is that for an electron, so see, had it been D3, it would necessarily be 0. Whether you are starting with -1, 2 or what, then it would be in this position. All right. So what you have to study in standard 11, according to that, I'm telling you that in the case when it is 3d2, the electron is going to enter the second. So if this is dxy, this is dyz and so on. All right. So this is entering here. then after this has entered here, the next electron that will come will go to this place. In that case, m will equal to 0. All right. Now comes the question that what are the permissible values of m? So m can have values anywhere between -2 to +2 through 0. All right. That means you see L equal to 2 means it is having d orbitals. There are 5 d orbitals. So the value of m, permissible values that are allowed values in number are 5. So that is why it is written like this. Okay. It is no hard and fast rule that the electron will enter here only. They are all degenerate orbitals. All right. But when we are studying, we will go by this, the way it has been explained in your book also. Okay. Should I proceed?
Yes, miss.
All right. See, now this is about the d orbitals. Now, as I was telling you, in all these cases, it was okay. There was that half-filled stability and all that did not come in the question. Let's go to now those elements, and then we'll go to F block also. We will now talk about we are talking about the transition elements, and we will now talk about elements with atomic number 24. I think with for chromium we did that, atomic number 24. All right. So with atomic number 24, argon, sometimes this stencil doesn't write, argon, then it's going to be 4s2, that makes it 20, and then 3d4. This is the expected, what you say, this is the expected way of writing, because if you're just writing it like you would write looking at the Aufbau's principle. But what happens is that there is an electron which is going to jump and go to this place. So the electronic configuration in this case is now 4s1 and 3d5. All right, 4s1 and 3d5. Now, which one is the outermost shell? If they are asking for the valence shell, you will go with 4s1. Okay. And how many shells are being filled up? There are 2 shells which are being filled up. If chromium has to lose an electron, the electron that will be lost will be the 4s1 for bond formation, or when it is showing its oxidation state. So in that case, what will happen? It's going to lose the electron from 4s. All right. So this 3d5 has attained a special stability which you called as the half-filled stability. All right. Further on, if more number of electrons are lost, that in the transition elements show variable valency due to certain reasons, because of the shielding effect is there, then other things are also there, which we will study when you do the transition elements. So transition elements do show variable valencies, but right now if I'm talking about chromium as showing the +1 valency, +1 oxidation state, it is the 4s electron which will be lost. All right. And so this is about chromium. Now coming to, let us say, what happens in the case of manganese then. Where does the 25th electron enter in the case of an atom? Okay. Where does the 25th electron, if I'm talking about manganese with atomic number 25, then manganese has an electronic configuration. If this is 25, this is argon, okay, inert gas configuration. It is 3d5 and 4s2. All right, you see, the 25th electron entered again the 4s. So in this case, the valence electron is in the 4s2, because 3d5 was giving a half-filled stability, so it was attained beforehand only. So when it came to manganese with atomic number 25, the valence electron is the last electron which is entering, the outermost electron that is there. So that will enter into the 4s2. Is that clear? Okay. Now come to copper with 29. Electronic configuration for copper 29. Again, this is argon. Expected electronic configuration would be 3d9 and 4s2. This is the expected electronic configuration. But again, the electron is going to jump and come here to give it a completely filled stability, and this is going to be 4s1. Okay. So in this case, this is what happens. Now, when you talk about the 30th electron entering, where will the 30th electron enter in the case of zinc? You see, the electronic configuration for the 30th electron in the case of zinc is going to be argon. So you write within the square bracket, then it's going to be 3d10 and 4s2. Okay, now see, for this also the electronic configuration will be same as the valence electron in calcium. Correct? Valence electron in calcium. Why? Because the same position is being occupied. So if you see in the case of calcium also it was 4s2. In the case of zinc also it is 4s2. The outermost electron, the last electron is entering the 4s. So it's going to be n is equal to 4, L is equal to 0, M is equal to 0, S will equal to minus half. Okay, this is it. Now let's come to the more difficult one, but though it is not very much there in your portion, but we will still study because F block elements you'll have to do in the periodic table also in the next chapter. So let us talk about the electronic configuration of lanthanides and actinides. Okay. So when we talk about the lanthanides, lanthanum is the element, all right, and lanthanum, all right, and its electronic configuration, atomic number is 57. So how do you think will the electronic configuration be written as? Now 57 is a big number for electrons. Okay, so you will really need the Aufbau's table to write down the electronic configuration for this. Obviously, but in this case, it is taken that xenon is taken as the what you call as the inert gas, and after that the other. After that, the others are shown. That is the other electronic configurations are shown. So if I'm talking about lanthanum with atomic number 57, all right, the electronic configuration will be written as xenon, okay, xenon, and then the electronic configuration is, should I write 5D or should I first write 4F? Okay. See, when you do the Aufbau's table, 4F is going to come first after the xenon. So this is 4F, all right, 0, 5D1, and it's going to be 6S2. Okay. Now, when you write, if you look into the Aufbau's table, if you have it in front of you, or if you look at the electronic configuration, actually you see the 4F occurs first, then it is 5D, then it is 6s2, again due to the overlapping of the orbitals. All right. But then why is it that the electron has not entered the 4F, but it has gone to 5D? See children, when you go to heavier elements, the overlapping increases so much that the difference in the energy levels is becoming very narrow. You know, the difference in the energies is becoming very less. Now, if an electron is entering the 4F, what happens is that 4F becomes like in this case, if the 4F1 should have been the correct one, in some books you will find also that it is given 4F1, 5D0, 6S2. But the correct way of writing it is you are going to write it as 4F0, 5D1, and then it's going to be 6S2. This is because on the addition, once the electron starts entering, see, lanthanides have been placed in the D block elements. So in the D block elements, it is in the group 3, right, in the period 6. So if you look at the number of electrons, valence electrons, it is 2 plus 1, 3. All right. So because the difference in energy is very less, the 5D tends to take the electron. That is the 57th electron it is taking. But as soon as you come to the element with atomic number 58, which is cerium, all right, you will see that in this case, the electronic configuration changes from take electrons and it becomes 4F2, 5D0, and then it becomes 6S2. Okay, it becomes 6s2. Why should this happen? Because the minute the 5D gets one electron, it gets excited, its energy level increases, and now the 4F, which is comparatively a little more at a lower energy level, now this one starts to fill up. All right. So the 4f starts to get electrons and the 5d remains a 0. 6s2 remains untouched. All right. Like in the case of the transition elements, in the case of earlier, in the beginning of the transition series, when we were talking about chromium and those elements, the 4s2 electrons were getting involved. But here, since the 6s2 and the 4f have a 5d in between, the 6s2 electron does not really exchange its electrons with the 4f. All right. So this is what is happening. And then from 58 onwards, the electrons will keep on entering the 4f till 4f becomes 7. All right. So I think it will come to 58, 60, 61, 62, atomic number 63 if I'm taking whatever element that is. Okay. Now with atomic number 63, this is going to be xenon as it remains. And in this case, you will get 4f7. All right. 5d will remain a 0 and it will be 6s2. All right. So F subshell has 7 orbitals. All right. F subshell has 7 orbitals. And in this case, now this is attaining an half-filled stability. 4f7 has attained a half-filled stability. So what happens is with the 64th element with atomic number 64 and the 64th electron entering, the electronic configuration now becomes xenon 4f7, all right, then 5d1, and then it becomes the 6s2 remains as it is. So you see in this case what has happened, the half-filled stability has not been disturbed. The half-filled stability of the 4f7 has not been disturbed. But as soon as you go to atomic number 65, all right, as soon as you go to element with atomic number 65, this becomes xenon electronic configuration, and this becomes 4f9, and this becomes a 5d0, and this becomes a 6s2. You see, again, as soon as F gets one more electron, the electron from the 5d also jumps and comes to 4f, and it remains totally unoccupied, and this is how the electronic configuration is seen. Now, if you see in these cases, the electronic configuration in general is written as n minus 2, all right, F shells are being filled up, which will have electronic configuration of 0 or 2 to 7, okay, or 9 to 14. Any one of this is allowed for this one. N minus 2 is 4F in this case. All right. You have N minus 1 D, which was NS2. The 3 outermost shells are being filled up, and this belongs to the lanthanide series, or you can say they are all called as the lanthanums or the lanthanides. All right, lanthanum is the element that leads these set of elements. All right, so this is about the electronic configuration that we were talking about. All right. What about writing the quantum numbers? And you won't get quantum numbers for such high atomic numbers. You will get simple kinds where your concepts will be tested. Okay. I have a few questions with me here. I'll share that on the screen, and then we will be able to sort that out and see if that what you have understood what we have done here, and you are able to apply that to those questions or not. So I hope, children, till here it is clear. If you give me a yes, then I'll move to the questions. I'll take another 5-10 minutes for the questions.
Yes,
is this okay? All right. Should I go to the questions now? Okay. For that, I'll have to pick up a slide where I took the photo of the questions, because writing questions becomes a little too much of a task. All right. So these questions are from one of your books only. Let us see, we are not solving all the questions, but we will just try to see certain questions which are related to quantum numbers. Okay, now let's go to question number 11. Question number 11 says, when the value of n is equal to 2, okay, m can have how many values? Okay, Obviously, in this case, if I'm talking about n is equal to 2, I'm talking about the second shell, right? I'm talking about the second shell. So how many values of m will be permissible? That is what it is asking for. Or how many values can m have? So in this case, what do you think will be the answer?
3.
Miss 3.
Your voice is dragging. Pardon? It will be
Miss 3 values.
n is equal to 2. Yes, it's supposed to have 3 values, because when, no, total values, if it is asking for n is equal to 2, when the value of n is equal to 2. See, we will first write and we'll come to the answer. Okay, let me see now. If n is equal to 2, L can have value of 0 and 1. That you agree? Yes. If n is equal to 2, all right, L can have 2 values, that is 0 and 1. Yes or no? Yes or
Yes.
no, children?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So when n is equal to 2, L can have 2 values, and so m can have how many values? When L is equal to 0, m will equal to 0. And when L is equal to 1, m will have +1, 0 and -1. So, okay, they have given both the options, 3 values and 4 values, both they have given. Okay, I think then you can go with n is equal to 2, L is equal to 0 and 1. So we'll go with the 3 values. When n is equal to 2, L can have 0, so m can have 1 value. The correct answer for this should be 4 values, children, okay? Because we will consider all the values. This is 1 value and 3 values are here. Okay, so it will come to 4 values.
Miss, how 4 it will be?
Alright.
Because it's common values, no 0.
Because for L equal to 0, no, for L equal to 0, we are taking m equal to 0 also. See, it is talking about the permissible values. Try to understand. When n is equal to 2, all right, L can have 2 values. Either L can have a value of 0, all right, and when n is equal to 2, L can have a value of 1. When L is equal to 0, m will necessarily equal to 0, which is the spherical S, all right. But when L is equal to 1, the permissible values for m will equal to what? +1, 0 and -1. Clear? It is not specifying the value of L. It is telling me the value of n. So you can say that there can be 4 values, px, py, pz and then s. Clear? So the correct answer for this should be 4 values. Okay, I'll have to see in the book also, but I think it will be 4 values. Okay, next, can we proceed? The next is question number 12. The correct set of quantum numbers for the unpaired electron of chlorine atom is, see, you have to write down the electronic configuration first. When you have a question like this, you have to write down the electronic configuration first. So it is asking about the unpaired electron. So the unpaired electron, in the case of chlorine, the outermost is 3p. So in the case of 3p, like how do you write the electronic configuration for chlorine? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. That makes it 10, all right. Then 3s2, 12, and then 3p5. So there are 5 electrons. So 1, 2, 3. Then you have a 4. Then you have a 5. It is asking for the unpaired electron. So we'll go with this one. Again, this is the convention that we are taking. Okay. You will say that means that the pairing can be in the last one also. Now that's a different thing. But according to what we are studying in standard 11, we will be going systematically. So I will be taking this one as the, the unpaired electron. So n will equal to 3, right? What will be the value of L? What will be the value of L? If it is in the p orbital, value of L will be 1. Clear? And if it is here, then the magnetic quantum number will be either +1 or -1. So we'll go with 1 because that plus and minus sign is not given in the book. Okay, so it is going to be 3, 1 and 1. So the correct answer for this one will be C. Okay, it is asking for the unpaired electron. It did not give you the number of electron. It was actually talking about the 15th electron, which remains unpaired, because the 13 and 14 get paired up with 16 and 17. Okay, so that is it. Now let's come to question number 13. From the given sets of quantum numbers, the one that is inconsistent with the theory is. Now what does it mean by saying inconsistent? It means the rules that you know about writing the quantum numbers. That is what it is asking for. So if you look into this, what do you find? N is equal to 3, L is equal to 2, M is equal to -3, and S is equal to +half. All right. Now, is this permissible? If you see N is equal to 3, all right, M cannot have a value of -3, because the value of M will depend only on the value of L. Okay, so this is ruled out. Then when N is equal to 4, L can have a value of 3, M can have a value of 3, S can have a value of +half. So this looks pretty good. Okay, so let's see. This is correct. Okay, then N is equal to 2, L is equal to 1, M will equal to 0, S will equal to -half. This is also correct. Why? Because it is talking about which one? N equal to 2 means it is the 2. L equal to 1, that means it is the P. M equal to 1, that means if this is these are the P orbitals. It is talking about an electron which is here. All right. And since it is -half, we will be taking it is the second electron which is entering. It is this electron that is entering. All right. So this is permissible. M is equal to this. N is equal to 4, L is equal to 3, M is equal to 2, permissible. If L is equal to 3, all right. If L is equal to 3, M can have a value of 2, because if L is equal to 3, the value of M will begin from +3, then +2, then +1, 0, and so on. So M equal to 2 is correct, and S will equal to +half. That means it's the first electron which is entering this orbital. So this is also correct. So the only one which is inconsistent with the theory is the first one. Okay, why? Because if one glance at it and you can make out. If N is equal to 3, M cannot have a value equal to that. Okay, because the value of M will depend on the value of N. That is for sure. If N is equal to 3, all right, L can never equal to 3. This is impossible. Understood this? Okay, so similarly, this is one. Then there was one more that I wanted to do with you all. Let me see. Okay, I was talking about these. All right, see. Question number 38. Following sets of quantum numbers is correct for an electron in the 4f orbital. It's talking about the 4f orbital. Okay. So if it is talking about the 4f orbital, all right. If it is talking about the 4f orbital, n should equal to 4. 0 is S, L equal to 0 is S, L equal to 1 is P, L equal to 2 is D, and L equal to 3 is F. So L is equal to, so these two I am sure. So let's look for 4 and 3. So I can look for this, I can look for this, I can look for this considering the N equal to 4. Now L is equal to 3, that means I can rule out this one. These two are possible. All right. Now let us see what is given for the value of M, because it is talking about the 4F. Now you see again in this case, this has already been ruled out, and this is N equal to 3 it is saying. Now this is also ruled out. So between these two we have to decide, this one and this one. So N equal to 4, L equal to 3, M equal to +4 is ruled out. All right, M equal to 4 is ruled out. Why? Because value of M will depend only on the value of N. Correct? So you will have L is equal to 3, and if M was +3, it was acceptable. All right. Then you come to this one, which is which we are, kind of keeping it as an option. N is equal to 4, L is equal to 3, M is equal to +1. Quite because if L has a value of 3, M can have plus 2. Correct option for connected or not? Yes. Sometimes this network gives me. All right, so we were doing those questions. One or two. Okay, this is the one we're doing, right? So out which of the Okay, children, I hope you all are there. I don't know what goes wrong with the network thing. I don't know. Anyway, just one or two questions that I wanted to finish with you. We'll do that and I'll let you go. So we were doing one. Okay. I hope it doesn't disconnect now. All right. So this is the question number 41 that we were doing. Okay. Question number 41. You have to talk about two orbitals which are having the same energy in the absence of magnetic or electrical fields. Okay. That means you're looking for degenerate orbitals. All right. Now, if you look at the excuse me, if you look at the quantum numbers that are given, you first look for n having the same values. Okay. So here n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 2. So you have a chance between B and C, and you have a chance between D and E, and you have a chance between B and C. Okay, so n equal to 2, n equal to 2. But you see here L is equal to 1 and this is L is equal to 0. So obviously there is, the two of them are not having the same energy. They are not degenerate orbitals. But if you come to D, n is equal to 3, n is equal to 3. L is equal to 2, L is equal to 2. M is equal to 1 and M is equal to 0. So you see, they are talking about the px, py orbitals of the third shell. So they are talking about the 3p orbitals. So we know that the 3p orbitals are degenerate in nature. So the two orbitals that we have, which have the same energy levels, are D and E. So let us see the options that are there. If you look into the options, this one will be the correct answer. Okay, quantum numbers by itself is a small topic. Okay, once you understand that, it's okay. But the problem is when you have to apply the concepts. Very important. All these are all India entrance exams questions, which are very, I mean, they're pretty long time back. But still, let us see this last one. Which of the following sets of quantum numbers represents the highest energy of an atom? Okay, highest energy of an atom. So now let us see, remember there is overlapping. So you just cannot decide by the number, the principal quantum number, that is n. All right. So if you look at this, you have n equal to 3, you have n equal to 3 in the second option, n equal to 4 in the third option, n equal to 3 in the fourth option. Third option is n equal to 4, fourth option is n is equal to 3. Now what I can do is, if I will just look at the electronic configuration and try to see which orbital it is talking about. So if n is equal to 3 and L is equal to 1, that means it is talking about 3p. Clear? In this case, it is talking about 3p. In this case, n is equal to 3, L is equal to 2. That means it is talking about 3d. Okay. Here, n is equal to 4, L is equal to 0. That means it is talking about 4s. And in this case, n is equal to 3 and L is equal to 0. That means it's talking about 3s. Okay. Now, when you write the electronic configuration of an atom, what you find is that when you are writing, it is 1s2, then 2, or if you miss out writing the electrons, that's okay. 2s, then 2p, then you write 3s, then you write having the next shell having a higher energy is 3p, then it comes to 4s, then it comes to 3d. All right, so which one is having the highest energy in this case? Obviously, it's going to be the 3d. So this is the correct option. I may not even go to look at the values of m. Why? Because they are degenerate orbitals. All right. So I am mainly concerned with which subshell is it talking about. So it's talking about the 3p, 3d, 4s, and 3s. 3s is way inside. All right. This is 3s. Then you have a 3p. Then you have a 4s, and then you have a 3d. So obviously, it is going to be the 3d, which is going to have which represents the highest energy of an atom. Okay, children. So I think enough for today, these questions. Why I did these few questions with you is because obviously they are from your book, and you need to know how to apply the rules in writing the quantum numbers and trying to understand all of it. Okay. Now, that's enough for today, I think. There was one more page I had taken down for questions, but anyway, maybe we'll do some more numericals in the next class, or maybe we'll just move on with the periodic table in the next class. Okay, I hope you all have understood, and so is that okay with everyone? Yes or no, children?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Okay.